Okay, I wasn't expecting to weld like this, but that's really cool that it came out like this. He just sectioned a piece of it, and it's right where it needs to go as far as that, but right here is bottomed out. So, part of this could be bent down at some point here. It touches up there. I'm a little worried, but ultimately, if this was at full thing, it'd have to be all the way up here, which is obviously ridiculous. And I'm just hoping that there's enough throw for what I got to do here. So these are a few things I'm worried about. But it's in the right place, and bending this moderately, will get me in the right place. So I'm not worried about that. I'm just worried about the throw and everything that goes along with this. If I make this rod straighter, because it does curve up, so if I made it flatter would bring it down, and I gather the pedal would get closer to the floor, but it's hitting up there, and I'm really worried about the bushings that I had put past there, if it was really going to make a difference or not, and which I already obviously made holes for and whatnot, but I didn't think about this part. But I'm almost wondering if I did re-drill the pivot on the same plane but closer towards the back, the car there, that would technically give me more room. And I'm not sure, but it might give me more throw, but it may also have too much of an arc on that pin. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm hoping it doesn't need to be much more than here, because if it's there and that's enough throw, that's perfect, because then I can just make this whole thing straight. I think right there at this bend, I can just make the whole thing straight up and down, and then it'll work. Because if this right now is straight, then I get close to there. My problem is, though, that hits before anything, but there's definitely room here, behind my. So if there's, let's see. It's roughly 3 inches, but the rod is thick, so at least 2 inches before I hit the floor. If that gets bent straight, I'm not 100% sure, but it might be fine. The worst case scenario is that I got to make it straight up there, and then just bend it on the bottom here, going upwards, I think. But I really, to really make this effective, I really have to have the whole booster assembly in with the proper throw, and even a master cylinder bolted on that I can bottom out the piston inside there with, because it's hard to do that without doing that, but it has a nice swing as far as where everything has to go. But I'm contemplating, bending it anyway before that happens. If I just bend what I can here, even just before it hits the floor, that'll help. But it's never going to make up for this, because this is technically where it would normally be hitting the switch there, where this was extending down. It might not be, though. I really didn't pay attention. I probably should have saved those pieces to see, because this is actually a little more straight, and if it's straight, then right about here is where it would be hitting roughly, which is still up very high, but bending it flat will get it in a better position. It seems like this is enough throw when I'm looking at the pin itself, but I really hope it doesn't need to be all that. That would be sucky. And it would be sucky if I needed to include the bushing that's going through the firewall now to be on this side, because number one, it brings it closer here, which there might be room for, but this is one of the mounting bolts right here, and that's the closest part to this. But because this is at a partial angle, it's not really at risk of anything hitting up here now. But adding another 3/4 of an inch might get dicey. I'm really hoping I can do this by bending the rod. That would be the best scenario, you know, but I really hope this can be bent downwards like that, because I bent it side to side, but yeah, I'm sure it can be bent that way, but ultimately it's in a good place. It's just a matter of bending it. I just don't know if pushing this all the way this way is going to bottom out anything, regardless if it starts up here, you know. So we shall see. More parts have to come in first, though. I'm getting tired. Now I got automatic feed. Okay, so I'm fast forwarding a bit because this was a very long, drawn out process, and a couple of broken bolts. Just enough threads to get there. My phone's probably a little dirty. This guy looks pretty good. Looks like the master cylinder is going to clear. I'm not quite sure about the hood now. That would be very interesting, but I guess it will. The top of the hood is over there, you know. But when you look at it from the side, it's like, oh, that's sticking up. The hood is sticking up. So should be okay. And it looks like it's going to clear everything I needed to. I just don't. I'm going to have to bend the oil dipstick. Now, looks like the rubber boot's kind of far clear of that, and I made it bigger, so it's not an issue. It's kind of in the hole, but I'm going to probably have to put some kind of rubber hooyah in there. I don't know how off that whole bracket is or not. It seems like it's off a hair, so I may have to loosen it and turn it, but it's probably not too much of a huge point. If anything, if it's bent a little this way, the pedal will be a little bit away because it got a little close, and I'm not sure what's going to happen when I tighten it. And right now, I don't see... Gee, I got to clean this. I'm just curious how it's going to fit. It seemed okay. All right, so it seemed okay. Not exactly... Let's see. And the threads of the booster are 5/16 or 8 millimeter. So there could be a little sloppiness in the hole there. So right there is where it's probably going to live, but it can probably be tweaked, you know. So I got to look at the video to really see. Yeah, it really doesn't even hit, and I got an inch of metal here sandwiched between. I got the ½ inch on either side. I cut this guy down more to give me more room, and I started looking at the brake pedal itself, and I guess I can take this guy out. This is way longer than I anticipated, so I'm a little worried about that, but I'm sure something can be done. Also, I didn't get the eye loop yet, and I was reading up online where people have made eye loops, so I got a 9/16 washer, a heavy thick washer. I can get 2 of them if I wanted to, and make it work that way. So I'm gonna touch that up with a little bit of paint. Let's put this down. It was just almost 90 degrees the other day, and now it's like 55. It's fucking stupid. It's weather. Ugh. Anyway, where was I? So the brake pedal here. Let's see if I have the bolt handy, because I start doing stuff and I totally ignore shit like that. It's like, why would I want to put the bolt in a good place? So I can find it. Okay, let me find it. I guess the wrong bolt laying around will be fine. I'm going to build something off this bolt to go to the original hole that held the dashboard bracket in place. And I'm more confident now in everything. I'm not sure if I really want to bend this brake pedal a little bit, because basically when it goes down all the way, see, it's not even hitting the original. It's not even hitting the original pedal, and that pedal will be gone, so there'd be more room, so it can definitely go down. Now, if it goes down, I mean, I have to bend it right here, you know, basically right in the middle of the spots where I had welded, and just bend it down a little bit. It'll give me more throw, and then when it's all the way up, it'll be, you know, not up in Timbuktu here, you know. And I got to make the final bend over here, and then if I go down, it may have a pitch to it, so I may have to heat up this end and also not only bend it in, but bend it up, because this one will be bent down. And it should not be in a different place then, hopefully. I like the way it swings, you know, really, it's pretty amazing, everything. That being said, what was I after here? I said I wanted to, oh yeah, tape measure. So ultimately, there should be 1.1 inch. I mean, I guess you can go 1 1/4. So basically what I'm doing now, I'm going up to this guy, you know, the pin. I'm holding the tape measure on the pin, and when you look at the profile here, it's right at 7 inches on the end of that chrome. So when I have to go, I kind of, you know what, I'm going to, see, then that's 9/16 less, because I'm holding the other side of it now. So that's 9/16. So if I go 6 1/4 here, if it was, what did I say it was? I don't remember now. I got to use two hands. But ultimately, if I pull this up, okay, this is 7 1/4, and I go 6. Right around here is where 6 inches is. So that'd be 1 1/4 throw, which all these modern ones, that's pretty much all it needs. So if you look, it's not super significant, but it's also at a different angle than the pedal. So when I bend it down and then bend it up, that's going to make a big difference, you know. Because put it this way, over here at the gas pedal, I got roughly 3 inches before it hits the gas pedal. So now, if I'm measuring here, and it's not, you know, uncommon to be a little bit higher on the brake pedal, and this is at the end here, I got, that seems to be close to, so I go on the back of the pad here, it's a little over 2 inches. Yeah, it's 2.5. It's 2.5. Where am I? 2.5 from the edge of the pedal here. I don't know if that means I could bring it 2.5. I guess, but it'll be 2.5 in the end, you know, because like basically we want that whole bar to be flush. Right now, it's hitting right where the weld is, pretty much. So I figured, and it's a little bit bumped out here. It goes in over here. I don't know how much I can get away with. You know, I know it's kind of pliable here. I don't know if this is because of just the way the firewall is higher, you know, like it could be some of that cushion stuff, you know. So like when you push real hard down to the floor, you get a little bit more out of it, you know. So that extra 2.5 inches from the pedal here, because like I said, this guy won't be touching, but obviously it'd be better if I took it out. But I think between all that, everything is doable, you know. This is going to be bent down, and then the very end will be bent up without actually making it higher, you know. If you bend it real close to the end, you're just changing the pitch. Because right here, I thought it looked like the same angle here. I thought it looked like a different angle, but it's kind of the same angle. So I'm a little worried about that. But then again, that's what I'm talking about. You know, if it's the same angle, then I just want to end up with the same angle. Whatever I bend there, I want to bend this up, and then I'll have to turn it, of course, to get where I want to go. And because this is not the lowest point anymore, this will be up here, it'll have even more to go. There's another inch here at least. So, but I was measuring from here, and then the floor does start to taper this way. So it's a fine line, you know. It's basically going to be heated up, check it out, heat it up, check it out, you know. And ultimately, you got to get it so it's in a good place first. And you know, I'm pretty sure that should be good enough. Like, I was worried that I would have to bend it from all the way up here. But the original one went up that. I don't know if that one just had more throw or not or what. I don't know. But where the brake pedal thing stopped, I just wasn't sure. And putting that extra 3/8 of an inch on this side might have also helped my cause. But I'm measuring at the pin, and it should be like 1 1/4 stroke on these old cars. So I really hope that's correct. 1 1/4 would be like max. Like you don't really need more than a 1 1/4. But yeah, if I can get 1 1/2, that'd be great. But I'm fine. If I bottom out the master cylinder, that's all I need to go. So I don't know if I'll do that heating up today. I think maybe I will, just to get a little bit, figure out, if I'm close or not. I'm going to paint the inside of that guy. And, come on. My God, this is all stupid shit happening every day. Anyway, I like it, it's looking good. This bracket was a real pain. The metal is cheesy, the original metal. And the way in hindsight, I probably would have taken out those spacers that were inside there and then not drilled the big holes. I put big holes through the freaking thing here. So, the other thing I can do is loosen these or take them out and still bolt it together the same way. But it's basically right now when I tighten it, those things get really close to here. So they're sandwiching up against the washer, and you can't go anymore. So I was using a longer bolt to get more threads, and I really couldn't do that without spacing the other side then. But I ran out of threads, and when I tightened it, I was trying to really nail it down and make it go. I almost feel like the bracket bent a little bit. I don't think so, but I know it ain't going nowhere. And it looks crooked, but the bolts are straight. There's really not much I can do. There was so many angles to contend with, but I don't know if I can make that look prettier. But it sucks. But it is what it is. Maybe just painting it black up top here, can help its cause. But I don't know. I'm not terribly worried. There's something you can always put. Also, I'm going to have this guy. Yeah, this guy's going to run. That's going to solve my problems, because the bolts are actually the even distance. It's the plate. The holes in the plate ended up being messed up, and I had bigger holes on this side, but it was more in alignment. So this guy looks more square, but I think the whole piece might be off on the inside, not the outside of the inside. But it's okay as long as the brake pedal works, But also, the more it's tilted this way, the more this will be away from here. And it gets close, as you might have seen, and tightening it might get a little bit closer. So we'll see whether I release it or have to heat it up and bend it some more. That's another story. But I like it. I'm liking it. I just don't like this big-ass thing here. It should be smaller, but I'll see what I get in the mail. Fucking parts sometimes, one part takes forever, and then it throws you off. I had to wait so long for that bracket too. The power booster bracket. It's like for a 55 Chevy. Most of the 80s GM stuff, they have the angle brackets, which are very helpful in a lot of cases, but only for those new master cylinders that are aluminum with the plastic reservoir. Those plastic reservoirs are usually on an angle, and then the plastic reservoir sits nice and flush. When you're dealing with the Corvette master cylinder, it's all pretty much flush. So I basically just have the bottoms in, and this will never really have to be touched with. That's why I did everything on the outside, so that the nuts for the power booster and the now I can't find this thing. Hang on a second. Oh, that's right. I put it in with the booster. So basically, all the bolts here, now that that's bolted in, it's all accessible from the outside, And I decided to use something like this because I was trying to figure out the pattern, and it wasn't exactly right with the Ford bracket there, but it was close. And by the time I drill it out and move it around, everything seems okay. It's super strong. It's not going to be an issue. But I basically bolted it on here. And then technically you can go back to manual brakes, if you have a old Chevy master cylinder or an adapter or something like that, whatever bracket that they used back then. But they always went from the small bolt pattern here and put a bigger bolt pattern, and then there's other arrays of stuff, but there's not much room. This is pretty much the highest I think this booster is going to be able to go. And like I said, these are 5/16 or I think they're 5/16. I hope they don't put metric. But yeah, this was a lot closer than I thought to what I got going on there. So I shall see what gets done. Cut, weld, you know, I'd rather not weld. I'd rather just go right into the thing. So I still got to wait to see what I'm getting here, and you know how it threads on and what the size of the hole is. I'll probably drill out the hole to make it bigger, and then weld that other nut to it, that other washer, I should say, to it, because that's 9/16. Because if you drill it out, you're going to make it a little weaker. Ultimately, though, they also had a plastic bushing on it, so if I could find it, I may do that. It may help, you know, but ultimately it would have been nice if that was just 1/2 inch, like all the other boards of the time, of the past. You know, this is obviously a newer one, but after looking at dozens upon dozens of brake pedals on eBay, and finally, you know, trying to look at 3 or 4 of them, this is the 4th one that ends up being like, wow, this one looks like it has a small footprint. And by the time I cut out all this insulation, it's sitting pretty far back there. But like I said, this does come close. But the mounting bolt is all I need to get close, you know. So I'm really hoping all that's good. I hope the oil line doesn't get in the way of anything. I hope this wiring doesn't get in the way of anything. Ultimately, I was just going to put it all on top, reroute it on top, and then maybe zip tie it to the top here, or maybe use those aluminum, you know, holders and everything to get it off, or those clip-on ones. You drill a hole, just, you know, let it go into the sheet metal and then hold the wiring, kind of thing, you know. So it's looking pretty good. I'm pretty shocked. This added a whole bunch of extra time and fucking headache, but I prefer this car to have power brakes, you know. And as much as I don't want, see, the Ford, the Mustang one is not a perfect square. I'd still have to buy another thing if I wanted Hydro Boost. And the idea of Hydro Boost is pretty cool, but just seeing the booster over there, it kind of looks like a normal car. And yeah, I'm not having a power steering pump in the car, but it's not, you know, I like to have balance. I like to have a belt on either side. But yeah, it's fine, you know, as much as I wanted to do it and started buying lines and everything, it's just, it's no big deal, you know, as long as it has power brakes. I think that's the most important thing, and it still has power steering, so it's going to be fine. All right, so I found the original bolt again, and I can't find the other bolt that I used. So that was hilarious. You can see that thing hits, it doesn't quite hit it yet, but I'm going to shave that off because that's just the thing that was hitting the thing, yeah, that was the brake thing. But first try, you can see I have the oil on there from the bolt cluster, and it looks fucking straight, and it's going all the way to the back. I could not have done it better. That is pretty amazing. I guess I could go a little bit more, you know, but that's actually good, you know. But what I don't know is, though, I may have to go more based on where this thing ends up and the throw that it has. And without the thing here, I don't really have a super duper accurate way to do it. Other than guessing with the inches, I'm pretty sure like 1.25 would be the most. Like I said, if I had this all the way, if this was all the way floored, it's hitting the pin and I get a reference point. See, now when I hit the pin, it's like, I don't know, I thought it was 7 before, and now it looks like 7 3/16. So that I just gained 3/16 of an inch just by doing that up here at the pivot point. So now I got a 3/16. It's really not much more than an inch. So like I should make this right at 6 and see where it looks, see how it goes when I go higher. Like I gotta lift up. I gotta use 2 hands, but I'm gonna, hang on. Oops, there goes my phone. So I just did, of course, that always happens. But right now this is 5 and 7, 15/16. And that looks pretty darn good. You know, that's amazing. I really enjoy doing this type of stuff. You know, it's very creative. But I'm going to be right in the zone. If I have to bend it, it's really not going to be much, and I'll be bending it right in the same place just to go a little bit more. But this is pretty much close. So when I push against the wall, it definitely can go just a hair more. But the thing is, when you bend this a little bit, this one goes a lot on this end. But it couldn't have been any more perfect. It's just really fucking good. You know, the only thing I don't know is that when it gets tightened, is it really going to be, 90 degrees this way? But yeah, you can't even tell. That's the cool thing. But I'm pretty ecstatic the way they came out, because it didn't look. Even you guys are probably looking at it like, I don't understand. It doesn't look like it's really that doable, But I'm really just hoping on the throw that it doesn't have to be all the way to fuck up here, because that would ruin everything. But I think at the pin there, it's the same distance as the master cylinder, So, and it's like maybe an inch higher than the gas pedal. And this is all in correlation to me, this gas pedal being basically an extra inch up closer to the driver, And of course, I'm doing this and I'm getting my spaghetti Freddy wires all tied up. And this stupid cable as well. And I'm a little concerned right here because I did have to bend it in this direction. There may be just enough to get the black pad back on. I think there will be, But you can't ask for anything better than that. The only thing is it has extra leverage, So, I mean, you could technically put a manual brake probably in here. Not that it's that close, But maybe if you put it with a smaller piston, but it's hard to say. But I took off the pedal, by the way, the original pedal, so it just falls on the floor there. And it totally misses and swipes it. And, I mean, I can't believe how much extra floor it took up. That's a huge difference, And when I'm looking at the pin right here where my thumb is, I mean, that looks like it has a good throw. If I'm starting here, which is an inch or two past the gas pedal, it looks totally normal. That's the other thing. Like, I can guess all I want, but when I actually get it close, then it's like, oh yeah, that's more like it, And I'm not even getting close to the body over here. But if I tighten it and it kind of looks like it's off a little bit, I can probably grab the whole thing and this thing will bend, or just loosen those bolts and then make it go. There's not much else I can do, This came out absolutely awesome. So I'm so happy because I didn't think this was going anywhere. I still don't know if this cluster is going to fit, but I mean, I gave it as much room as it could possibly take. I really don't feel it's going to touch it, and I'm going to hack off this thing off the brake pedal. But this is, you couldn't ask for anything better, other than being round, perhaps. And I have to cut all that out to make it have the original pedal. But then they would kind of be on top of this. And I don't know if I would have to put it higher. Or it's probably not worth it. This thing is self-threaded, so it's not even a nut that I can put behind it. But I can't believe how good that came out. That's fucking amazing. That is really amazing. Alrighty, so hopefully, something came in the mail today. I don't know if it's that. I think I got the door pins, the correct door pin switches. Hopefully they're correct, and I'll take it from there. And I guess I got to put this the cable back in. I got to move the fuse box, the fuse panel, and I got to take out this and I got to take out that to hopefully fit the other thing. Now, I might have to take out the brake pedal as well, or retract it all the way, possibly, because once I got it set here, then it's not so bad, Even if I had to completely remove it, I probably can get a nut and bolt on it. I guess the hard part would be to actually put my little brace that I want to put on it. But perhaps I will have it bolted on the firewall here first, and the hole will just be lined up to it, and the bolt will go through. I hope along those lines. But I'm ecstatic. That looks so good, it's not even funny. I'm patting myself on the back for sure. Because if I can get it like relatively even, it's always a little higher though, But right here is pretty good. And that is looking like it has an inch. Even if I came up here, that's not bad. Considering all these, old cars. I mean, just think about it. This is all the way up right now. Whether or not it was, I have a feeling it was though. This is like way past the brake pedal. The brake pedal was back here. It was close. It was an extra inch this way because of the hinge I redid. So like you had to really lift up your foot to get it off. And now it's going to be power brakes. You don't have to push that button. And if it's up a little bit, it's 2 inches, even 3 inches is where it was. Like right here, I can't do both, unfortunately. I can't do both. This guy is definitely, I guess I can measure from the floor. So the original brake pedal, the back of it is roughly 7.5 inches, or 7 to 7.25 inches, I want to say. So, and then this guy, when I'm putting it where I think I want it, or if I do the same as 7 and a 7.25 or something like, well, 7 is, look at that, 7 is about 2.5 inches. That's like 4.5. I know it doesn't look like it. Let me do the side here. It's like 4.5 to 7. So that's 2.5 inches. And it looks fine right there. It really does. And I'm hoping, it'll go even lower, because if I have it there, hang on a second. I know it sounds like I'm rambling, but when I measure the pin up on top here, it's right at 6. It's right at 6, and then this all the way in is 7 3/16. So that's 1 3/16, which I think is really all it needs. But 1.25 inches would just make it go up a hair more than the 7, which would put it right it would put it right where the original one was. Well, then again, no, the original one is definitely higher. Like right now, this is on top of it, so it looks like it's even higher. But if it's the same, what harm would that be? It would be no different. But this thing is definitely going to be way awesome. That's just an incredible piece of engineering I did. Like I said, I just hope I get this cluster, and I have just enough hand, I think, to get this one bolt here, the one bolt up here. The one bolt on the bottom is not going to be a problem, but this one on the top, it's still not going to be a problem because I'm going to put the thing in first, and these two things are going to be gone, because that's how I got it out. Even without all this extra new modern stuff, I was not able to get it out. And that was a bolt. And there's another bolt. There's another bolt that I broke. Oh yeah, that was a piece of shit. That was a test bolt. That was a Harbor Freight bolt. But this is amazing. I'm like, I just did that on the bench price, on the bench price. I mean, the top looks awesome. It looks very even with the thing. I literally did it by eye. It's incredible. Alrighty, I think this is going to work out pretty good. I can't wait to get the booster on and actually figure out what the travel is gonna make up. Well, the good news is these don't hit because they were extra long there, but you can see that it's not a lot of threads coming out of there, and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do just yet with that. I gather if I can find 2.25 inch bolts, it should be fine. I really didn't want to take it all apart, but the plate is going to be on. It's not going to really be a big deal because it'll hold back, but that's not ideal. It's only like halfway. I can also put a regular nut with a washer and have it machined to fit in the hole, in the bigger hole, so it goes in deeper. Still not super safe, you know, because 2.5 is definitely too long. So that's a little bit of an issue, because 2.5 is definitely going to hit. 2.25 may not hit, but flange nuts, and although they hold really well, these are flange nuts, so they hold really well, but it might be better using something else. But you know, these are I threaded the steel plate for these to go in. I just don't think it's going to be an issue, you know. I really don't. So the center of everything, you know, the bottom bolts, they're all going to be holding like a son of a bitch, you know, but it's technically screwed into this. I mean, I put fine thread too, so the stud is fine thread. I think I just have to put a washer there. Doesn't look like it'll hit, but I might be better off with the washer because of there's no threads on the end of the stud, and even though there's no threads at the end of this, you see, that was the other reason why I putting a regular nut. Maybe better a Kep's nut, the one with the little star wheel on it, because it'll have more threads down to the end, maybe, and then you know, I'll be able to do what I got to do then. But I mean, it's holding tight. I mean, everything is grade 8, so that, you know, you can kind of wing them down. But I already fucked up a set of bolts just trying to pull it through. But it looks like there's so much more there than there really is, you know. Now, I bought a regular nut here. It kind of really doesn't matter. It seems like the same amount is going to be sticking out. You kind of want more bite there. So there's never, you know, there's never anything without adjustments when it comes to this stuff, you know. And I think Ace Hardware did not have the 2.25, or I'm blind. So it's very possible I'm blind, because I've been in that situation before. So I think that's it for tonight. It's getting chilly, and I'm celebrating. Oh, this is all good stuff that happened, you know. So wish me luck in the next phase of this, when I get the rod, longer bolts for those, and I physically bolt in the booster, and it's gonna start looking real good. So I put in this Cole Hersey switch. For some reason, this top one got stripped, so I don't know now about that. But this was working, but it was not long enough, if you remember. This one definitely has a longer throw. Hooked everything up the way. I'm like, what's going on here? And then I closed the door. So the switch works, but it's opposite. So that means it's normally open. It should be normally closed. And now it's normally closed. Right? Yeah, it should be, it's normally closed, normally open. And when I closed it, it became normally closed. Yeah. It's normally open. I need normally closed. Now, that sucks. Oh boy. Okay, so I took out these bolts and I put flange bolts in, $3.59 a piece. And even though they were also 2-inch, these, you know, require this washer, and then I upgraded to the bigger washer. Because they're flange bolts, I don't really have to do that. They're tight as hell, so it ain't going nowhere. Bottom ones I left alone. And as you can see, I just painted them, so now they're sticking out more, just slightly more. That's all I needed, you know. And hopefully, I'll put these new nuts. Apparently, they're supposed to be grade 8, but they're taking it a beating, because it's not really that true, the wall, you know. So I'm kind of forcing it to kind of go straight as far as this way is concerned. And hopefully. I ended up putting one new bolt because one of the new nuts that I bought 4 nuts, and I was going to put them on all 4 of the bracket, the flange nuts, and I have to use one of the older ones. That are fine, you know, it's all good. Anywho, so ultimately, it's just a little tiny bit longer. The thickness of that washer is probably all I need, and kind of letting it dry, but just to give you an idea, yeah, that now should be enough threads, and I'm gonna put that on. And now once I get that, I still haven't received the rod yet, so I went on Amazon and I bought another rod because I was able to get that in 2 days. This is like a Ford rod, which is kind of more like what we're looking at here, but ultimately, because of the throw, it's going to be a pretty short rod. The universal rod that comes out of the booster is like right up against there. So if it's typically like a GM, it has a lot of play. Because this is not, it's going to be cut really short. So I got to probably, you know, make one. So I don't even know, you know, this is just extra shit that I'm buying. But that washer that I bought, I might end up using it alongside this. But then again, I don't know if I can even use this. You know, I might have to get something that's threaded directly, which that other kit came with. Or I can get like an extension rod of some sort. I don't even know if it's completely going to be on center, so I may have to make it so it's offset. And I believe it came with something that's offset. I believe it had 2, you know. But one of them might have looked like this. I forgot. But ultimately, you know, this extension bar would have to go in there in order to make it work, and it probably can, but maybe not with this. I'm more concerned with just how it fits on the thing there, because this looks bigger than 1/2 inch, so I'm thinking that even though they were all 1/2 inch, I'm really wondering if it was supposed to take a bushing, and the bushing makes up for it. So I'm about to see how that works on the pedal. Yeah, so this is, I'm not going to say loose as a goose, but it's definitely loose. So I don't know what kind of information I was getting at, probably from AI. I was thinking this is the wrong size, and it might be the wrong size for the brake switch I got, you know, the Ford switch. So I guess I'll see. I really should have put that Ford switch up against there, but I'm kind of funny about, first of all, I know Advanced Auto doesn't let you return electrical items, so I bought the switch, and I'm not 100% sure it's even going to fit over it. I was thinking no, because that looks bigger, that looks smaller. But now I'm wondering if a little more modern car, maybe with a different plug, has it. I could be wrong, but I don't understand how they give me this in the universal kit that's meant for Fords, and it's closer to that, which it seems like it has a thing on it, but it would be nice to get this style of switch. But then again, maybe not. Even though like this is going to fit in the footprint of the rod, you know, right? Oh no, the rod. Well, the rod has to have this motion here, so there has to be enough room. So this rod is obviously down. That goes all the way up. Yeah, this is probably not going to work anyway. Yeah, so there's really no sense. Oh, look at that, and it fits. It looks so much smaller. This is actually right on the money. Well, that sucks, because I just know that it's a little funny here, and ultimately having power and ground right behind there. It all depends. Like this is up to 3 inches that we were talking about on the other video there. It may work, but now I got to get a bushing for this to even see if it works, right? Or is it on it completely? I think it's completely on it, and it's just fine. But the bushing, if anything, would have to come for the thing, or a different rod altogether. That actually fits perfectly. I thought I measured. Jesus Christ! I feel like I'm in a time warp sometimes. I swear to God, or something freaking weird. This fits on perfectly. So let's say when I look at this, this looks like 1/2 inch, but it might not be. That actually fits perfect. And I'd kind of rather not cut this off because it kind of holds it up there straight. because I mean, I gather I gather this rod holds itself in there. Yeah, this is supposed to be a Ford rod with a Ford thingamajig. It's just seemingly a little bigger, so I gather there's some kind of bushing here. Obviously, this is facing the other direction. So once all that paint dries and I bolt on the bracket and I bolt in the power booster, and hopefully I'll be able to tighten everything I need to tighten for this to make it right. Like I said, this might be the right size, or if I can find it, but this fits the switch. I'm surprised. Look at that. This is so freaking dicey, everything with this car. Like, I still don't know. Like, I don't even know if this dashboard even comes off. I mean, these two bolts here, which I had loose, I had taken them out. I'm not even sure if this could technically come forward a bit. You know, I took out one support brace, but it's still connected to that. I'm wondering if after unbolting these and then bolting the other side, if it'll tilt forward to help me get the dashboard in if I still have issues here. But this is amazing that this actually just fits right like it should. But you know, it's kind of a moot point because the 50s style one probably won't be an issue. I just have to find a place to put it, and I don't think it's going to be a problem anywhere around here. Let's match it up now that I have a better idea where this guy is. So, yeah, actually, it doesn't look as good. First of all, I can see where I was even thinking if I drilled a hole through there and have it right there. But I mean, I'm starting to have like a lot of electrical stuff, you know, like kind of right there out in the open. And not that it's dangerous or anything like that. It just doesn't look nice per se. I can probably make some kind of bracket that comes off this. But, you know, it's actually not that great looking, all things considered. This is going to be interesting. So I'm actually leaning towards this one so long as it can fit. I just don't know where this guy's going to end up, you know? I mean, the only other thing I can do is bend these tabs down maybe to give me that extra 1/4 inch when it's all the way up, you know? And I was hoping that it was below the level. Obviously, it's not, but it's at the, you know, it's at the very bottom. And being it's on a slight angle. I don't think it's anything serious, but like it's going to end up right around here somewhere. And obviously, you can't hit a ground, you know. So if I had to guess, okay, where the mounting bolt is where. Oh, there is no mounting bolt in the bottom, but it might be across from the mounting bolt. Let's see. Well, it's a little bit, this is the mounting bolt on the top, and it's a little over to the left. So that means it's right where the oil thing is here, which is in the center, which is, yeah, I want to say it's right around here where this bumps out. So it's hard to say per se where it's going to be until I start test fitting things. I mean, now I got this guy here also, you know, this transducer, which I really don't want to move, but I suppose I could move it if I had to, you know, if that became an issue. But again, it's more electrical items that are just too easy to see and too easy to have a problem with. But I knew this was going to be challenging, but ultimately the brakes have got to work first, and then I'll deal with everything else. But very interesting how this actually fits pretty well. The only other thing I was thinking of, maybe using this bracket to some degree, but then I'd have to put another bracket probably. Well, I can't go with the bracket. It has to be independent of this. So if that bracket was here, and this, yeah, I mean, I'm adding to the bracket that I was afraid that I was going to, you know, interfere with. So, few things going on there. I'm also thinking that maybe you can go flush on the firewall kind of thing, and it'd have to go this way, and then they have to be up, so it'd have to be on this side. Yeah, so basically it'd have to go like that. I mean, so that's down. It's not really a big deal. It's a matter of mounting it somewhere and making sure that when it, see, because now actually the more I bring it up, because I don't exactly know where it's going to be, it may interfere. So the brakes are going to have to be first, and then the brake light switch was going to have to come second. So this is interesting, to say the least. Okay, so I bolted this together. I hope it doesn't hit there. I'm trying to see the... I mean, I don't think it should, but it does start to taper, so it's hard to say without 100% certainty, but you can always find a smaller master cylinder or something like that. But what I did now is I just hooked it up, and I see what I did? I just... Oh. Am I still recording? Yes. Okay, so I just butted up against the sorry, I just butted up against these two. So see, it just fell right now because I just played with it. And it was so much easier a minute ago. Yes, I tested it before I let you guys see this. Hang on a second. I can't win sometimes. That's just hilarious. Come on. Okay, so it's up against it. And the pedal is up here, which isn't like terribly retarded, you know? Like I said, this was going just about as high, if not higher. But the good news is when I floor this... What am I doing? I'm pulling on these wires? Are you kidding me? I feel like I'm pulling on something, unless it's the rubber getting snatched in the hole there, which is a possibility. Anyway, I'm all the way down, and it's not touching the firewall. So I can actually make that rod shorter, which will help, but it's not in the realm of impossibility. But, I mean, it's not terrible, but I might have to make it shorter, but I got to figure out exactly how. See, that just moved a ton. It really helps to have the thing upright. Thing is, they don't make this 3/8. They do make it, but like you got to order online, if anything. Like what do you call it? Damn it! They don't make the connector for the rod connector, you know. So, thing is, I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I could probably go another inch off that. Maybe not an inch from the bottom here, but on thread size, it's only going to be a few threads, but that can make a difference, you know. So this will be interesting to say the least. And I'm just curious if when I floor this brake pedal, do I see daylight? I actually start to, so I got to be careful about wind coming through there, and so I'm probably going to have to put something in that hole. It's very close to the same size, so it can probably be done on this side where it's a rubber thing with a hole in the middle, and it's on this side of the nut, and when you hit the brake, it goes up against the firewall without binding, of course. This is actually looking totally doable, you know. I just feel like my foot is all the way up front here, but also this is a girl driving, and this is the way her seat was, so I gather she was driving it like this. But, I mean, coming down an inch up here will be a big deal. That's the pre-play, but of course there's a what do you call it in there? There's going to be a bushing in there. This is all doable. Pretty happy. I'm just not sure if I can really get it to go down any further. So I'm a little worried about that. I wouldn't be as worried, and I hate to recut this and re-weld it, but like, yeah, whoopsie. It's going to be interesting, to say the least. I don't want to fuck up these threads on there because I'm just butting up the threads. But this is very is, I mean, I could take out as many threads as I want, but if I don't get the throw, you know, it needs a lot of these threads that are here already. So I'm a little bummed about that. I'm trying to think though. I mean, I don't know how that would. It doesn't change it. Like I can't space it further out or whatever. I gather if I had put it in further, it would be a different issue. And like I said, I needed these heavier bolts to pull this thing towards the firewall. I didn't want to use the power booster as the stop, and then on top of that, these are 5/16 bolts that are on the power booster. If the power booster was closer, I can make that thing a lot shorter. But I really don't feel like it matters. At the top of my head, I'm like, I think in the realm of things, it's not going to matter. So, but it's not too bad. I don't know how it's going to feel for me, like for a full-size person here. But really, that's where the original brake pedal was, to be honest. It was very high. And, of course, the master is not hooked up. Let me just get that out of the way. I mean, this comes up right there. And don't forget, like I said, that brake pedal was at least an inch that way. So it was stark, difference here. So if this was the guy right here, and this is higher or lower, and I drop it. Still lots of good stuff here. I mean, every time I run into so many issues with this car, it's taking forever, but I've managed to find solutions no matter what. So I like that. Yeah, so I can't say it's much different. See, so this is about an inch here because it's hitting that thing there. So right now, that rod is going to fall off, but just to give myself a better. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much right where it just was. I don't see a problem with that. I really don't. I don't see the big deal about doing that. And I can go down a little bit. So this is definitely lower than the original brake pedal. So I just don't see it being an issue. I definitely have more to go. And ultimately, you want to go all the way to the floor, and you want to bottom out the master cylinder before you hit the floor. Possibly exactly at the same time, but this is all good stuff. But I think I'm going to have to do it with there's a couple of things I can probably do. I gather it's straight. It is straight on, so that part is right. I guess it starts to go up a hair, but yeah, like it doesn't nearly need as much throw. And like I said, I'm probably going to cut this guy off because I don't know if it'll hit something there. I mean, obviously, it's like after realizing all of this stuff, I was saying to myself that I'm like, this is not, it's not as much throw as the original one has, I think. But don't forget the four those spacers were on this side, spacing this more this way. But since I got that other spacer, and it's a GM one as opposed to the modern Ford one, yeah. So if this sits out here, I mean, obviously this is going to be more in the way, and like I said, I will have a little tiny bit more to go. So, and I don't see why I can't take maybe. I don't know. I got to try to do something with this rod. I think I'm going to save it because in the end, this is the correct rod for the switch there. And I don't even know if the switch is going to work, but I might as well try it. I don't know. Maybe I'll just see if the other one comes in the mail, if it works better or not. I have a feeling it's the same thing, but if it's the same, I need the same thing, but be female threads, that would be great. Excuse me, that would be great. So I'm going to play with something, see, I don't think I trust my welds, even though I think it'll be fine. I really wonder if I should have it TIG welded the other piece. Hang on a second. What did it come with? Because I can't remember from fucking 2 minutes ago. There was a rod that came with the it came with the booster, and the rod came with this guy, and that one had the thing built into the stud. But now I got to look through this. All right, let me find it first. All right, bingo! It comes with the fine thread one. Because I was like, this is something that you have to get from like Granger and special order. So now I can just cut this down and put this in, and see what I can come up with. All right, so by doing this, I can hear it hit the bottom of the master right before it hits it. When I made it, I kept going back and forth until if I went a half a turn tighter, which would make it more this way by a hair, you hear it hit the firewall and not the bottom of the master. So it's really where it needs to be. I suppose I could have made it, bent in some ways, but it would really need to be bent up here, and then if I go any further, it's going to be impossible to get the rest. That being said, I could bend it here and there because when you floor it, it's not as tight to the wall. It's tight up there. It's actually hitting before, and I'm pretty sure I can do the extra half a turn because obviously, if you favor the bottom, then there's something wrong with both brakes at that point, and it's kind of like, you did everything you can. So an extra half a turn, if I did do it like that, it's probably not a big deal, and it's one of those things where this is pliable, so I'm pretty sure I'm just not hearing it hit the bottom of the master because I'm cushioning this and I'm trying to push it hard. So I might go that extra half a turn just because it's not going to be unsafe, for the most part. And when I hold this here, I'm looking at about 2.5. Stop turning. Where are you? Is it 2 inch or 2.5? It's funny because I'm looking at it 2.5, and then when I look on the camera here, it looks like 2. Oh, there we go. It's 2. Yeah, it's 2.5. So I think the original was like 3 inch or 2 3/4. So it's right basically where it was. So how the hell do you complain? So this is amazing that this is all working out the way it is, and I will be able to use the same. I will be able to use this forward switch so long as it doesn't interfere with the cluster. I got to get the bracket here, the bushing on this, and I'm not sure if I'm going to put the spring that comes with this brake pedal. I'm not sure if it's worth it because it'll always want to push. Well, I guess it wouldn't be terrible. It'll always be pushing up, There's your clutch pedal, brake pedal free play, and that's just it. I can tighten this up too because I'm looking over there. It's like that's moving a kind of significant amount. I'm just curious now. If I adjust that thing, what do I get? So if I go here, it's 3/4 of an inch, which I think that's just about where it's supposed to be. So it's really, I could make it probably get tighter between a number of things, but it's really not going to end up changing the feel by any means. It's still going to feel, relatively on the high side. What are you going to do? But in reality, I probably could have made this shorter, and that would have made it maybe have a little more throw than, because it's always going to hit that. It's always going to hit it here, and that's the hard one to really move. But because when you move that up, this goes way up, and then you got to play with that to go down. I just feel being lower is in a better place, but it's also right where the original one is, So it's right smack in the middle, pretty much. And this guy is the fucking weird angle, like totally weird, Where this is very natural, I'm really happy with the way this came out. I'm very shocked. And once I get this bushing in, that'll help. Like I said, I don't know if I'm going to put the return spring in this thing that it came with it. It might be beneficial, but I wouldn't want to, if it ever had to be serviced and, you take it out, it just shoots up, and then it ends up hitting something power, I don't know, we'll see. But it would be really interesting now if I could use this, because this thing would go on the inside of that switch and whatnot. It doesn't seem like it's going to hit, so I could put 90-degree electrical connectors on that. And right now, because it's not there. Hard to tell when you have it like this, because there's no mounting bolts in the bottom. The mounting bolts are on the sides and on the top, 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, but the screen goes right up against there. So really, I have 2 3/4 inches from the screen, from the glass of the thing to the end of the switch. Whoop. Yeah, I mean, I'm clearing it by like 1/4 of an inch. It's really 2 1/4. I'm clearing it by a 1/2 inch. That's pretty impressive. And it's really not even there. It's really, I think we'd established this already. It was more like around here. So there's really no electrical anything's going on there. So it's really 1 3/4 there. I just don't know how high yet. It's seemingly right above this, so it seems like it's going to live here. It seems like it's not going to touch this guy. And I have plenty of room here. It really seems that way. It's just a matter of getting everything to work, because obviously now this switch has to go in. Well, the switch can go in afterwards, I guess. Because now that if I tighten down the adjustment, I get the switch in, and I get the bracket in, and I take this stuff out, then this can be, this rod should be able to be slid off and get on, just like any other, Ford car, if you had to do that, And I think this is pretty awesome, all things considered. I just got to keep this adjustment, tighten it up, and I think we're in good shape. It's just, now I got to take all this stuff off. And I'm debating whether to take out the thing, because I can't remember if I had that out. I'm pretty sure I did. These 2 things, I started taking it out, and I just realized this cluster's in the way of everything between the whole spiel here, the whole thing, And I'm worried about the speedometer cable reaching, because I thought I was going straight in, but I realized it doesn't go in that way, so I'm really hoping it ends up working out that way. And I got this wire's got to find a home under the hood. This wire is for the thing, so this is for the brake light to work, which I haven't drilled a hole yet to put it in. But if I do that, I got to make I got to make something or other for the. I wanted something to roll off of this, but it's probably going to be hard no matter what. So I'll see. I have another switch from the last project from last year. I ran into it recently, so I want to see maybe I can make it work. Got plenty of thread sticking out despite this, and that's funny. This is not going in all the way. I really hope I did this right. So it's touching. That was the whole point of me adding metal to the bottom of this. There's something else. Oh, it's right here. I'm making a bracket for the pivot, so the pivot, doesn't cave in. Oh yeah. It would be better to cut it off that other piece there, but crapola. I've been through this back and forth. I really don't want to take out this bracket, and I really don't want to grind it in here either. This bracket that I put in is kind of touching it as well. I mean, it seems like it's in. I don't have the bolts in. Obviously, this one is, I put the bolt from that side. It's slightly different than I had the first time. I had a stud and because of it was tightening on the course thread because there was no more threads left, and then I couldn't really undo it, so it made sense at the time. But being that I have it all apart, I guess I can get it out. But if I put it through here, that could work also. It's the same idea. So I'll see. I'm not even quite sure what the fine thread nut is. But ultimately this is what I was making. And yeah. Either this could be technically spaced out, but son of a gun. So I've been fighting it, and then I really don't like cutting this, to be 1,000% honest. And this is the way I fucking did it. You know what though? It's really just the first, the way I made the angle here, I went all the way to the end of it, and that's what's really hitting. There's actually room here. If I didn't go this far, it's totally unnecessary. So many adjustments. Okay, that is pretty much perfect now. It was just the double layering of the metal that I welded on. I just cut it down. There's only so much, and I put a little relief in it as well. And all is pretty good now. Just goes in nice. You tell right away when you did something. You're like, what am I fighting? It might be just slightly away, but that bushing in the back there is aluminum. It's going to cover everything just fine. Maybe I'll put a washer, maybe I won't. But the only thing is it really perpendicular to it. Which when you tighten the bolts, everything's going to be fine. No tension is good. And that's not going anywhere. That's going to strengthen that pivot big time. And it shouldn't interfere with anything that I'm doing here. For the most part. Pretty good. Yeah, smoothed out the welds a little bit. Nothing crazy because, just in case. You don't want to take away integrity, but looks good painted black. This guy looks good painted black. And next step is putting in the... unfortunately, I think I know which switches to get for the doors. I think I tapped in the wrong thread because one kept screwing in there, and I grabbed a little screw from something else, and I think it's 4mm. I think I grabbed the millimeter one instead of the standard, which I don't understand, but I guess I'm capable of making those mistakes. Yeah, so found out a few things today, definitely. So the brakes are looking good, though, I must say. I have ordered a bushing for the brake pedal, and I think that switch. I ordered a switch because if you remember, I was putting the switch upside down, and then I realized that in the newer years they had it the other way, basically the reverse. So I got it from like a 1995 Aerostar van. Anything in those years, it pretty much looked exactly the same, just opposite. So now it'll hook on properly, and it won't have any risk of falling over, if anything. I'm sure it could have worked the other way too, so I'm not terribly worried. But so far so good.